Welcome back to another episode of Life Between the Volleys, brought to you by Huntproof, making you more successful. Gadwall Whiskey, cheers to the journey. Rixie Outdoors, the best dog stand on the market. Pattern Pros, where simplicity meets results. Recool Dog Vest, the only dog vest we trust. Dirty Duck Coffee, the only coffee you need to get your morning started. Bluebird Waterfowl, changing the game of waterfowl. And Winter Productions, let us tell your story. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode. We're back rolling again, and we have Kenneth with us, and we're going to jump over to him and get right into the action and get to know the guy behind maybe one of the biggest gun dog podcasts there is. I mean, it's got to be. I love listening to it. Everybody you have on there, I mean, you learn a lot from you guys and what all y'all have going on over there. But before we dive into all that fun stuff, can we get a quick backstory on, like, you know, where you started hunting growing up, like your kind of your youth growing up and stuff? What got all this fire for the dog stuff?
So I grew up at Hyden, Kentucky, in Eastern Kentucky. I've been in Texas 14 years, but I'm a Kentuckian. And my dad, believe it or not, wasn't a hunt. My dad's a musician, and so are my brothers. And he didn't really hunt. He had guns and stuff, but two of my best friends in school, Mark Baker and Craig Sizemore, their dads had hunting dogs. And actually, there's a set of twins in my class named Art and James May. Their dad had English setters. And I just thought that was so cool that people hunted with dogs, because I grew up around dogs. My grandpa, he died when I was probably 12, but I lived next door. He had broke horses for people when he was younger, but he could train an animal, a dog or a horse, to do tricks and everything. Yeah, I just thought it was so cool. It fascinated me. And but I never owned hunting dogs until I got out of school. Uh, and so I started. So my first, I guess, love of hunting, or first, was squirrel hunting. Everybody did that back home. And I finally got to deer hunt when I was probably 18, 17. Bow hunted some with my same friends that had the hunting dogs. But that's kind of how I got into it. And then later, I had a cousin that's like, man, I don't know why in the world you don't get hunting dogs and start hunting with dogs. You're a big dog fan. Because I always had protection dogs and trained and messed around, and actually got later almost formally trained to train protection dogs. And so that's just kind of how it came to be. So my first hunting dogs were beagles.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, that's kind of how I grew up. My dad was a coon hunter and stuff,
Yeah.
AKC, PKC coon hunter and stuff. And we always had, plot walkers around. They bear hunted some. We never had anything waterfowl or bird wise around, but like we always had, like, the coon dogs around and stuff. And I mean, up until, I think I was in college when he got rid of like his last coon dog. And he kind of gave it away to a cousin or something. It was a pup that he had started, and he offered it, like, told a boy, he's like, I'll keep it here 1,000 feet. You come take it hunting and stuff. And that pup would have probably been a jam up pup. I remember a story. Me and another boy was hunting it one night with another dog. And this pup is little. She's 3 months old or something. And we lose her. We didn't put a tracking collar on her. We lost her. We thought we lost her. What she did end up doing was she went. Like, we figured she's going to mill around, play around us, whistle. And all of a sudden she's gone, out of sight. There's a dog treeing. I'm like, oh no, we have lost a dog in the dark. And then we get to the tree, and by God, there she is, standing there right beside the other one. And it was like one of the things I was like, man, like, that's insane that she's bred and knows that so much. She was like, that's where she heard that dog barking, and that's what she went to. She was like, I got to go to that dog. But yeah, I guess my first dog kind of was my dad did some wheeling and dealing and trading, got us a squirrel dog. And it was a really good squirrel dog. It was a dog that, like, he'd go tree a squirrel, and we lived on a farm, and he would sit down there and bark on that tree for hours and hours. And, like, Dad had buddies come over, and they'd go coon out, and they're like, what's he down there barking at? Dad's like, probably a squirrel or a coon, one of the two. So it ended up, like, trading around, and we traded for a mountain feist, and that dog was one of the most jam up squirrel. Like, the dog they traded us was a good squirrel dog, but that thing became one of our best family dogs and squirrel dogs we ever had. And we killed a ton of squirrels with him. Everybody loved to hunt with him. He was just a jam up squirrel dog. But yeah, I kind of got the same thing. Like, like, you're around it, and that's kind of how I got introduced to the hunting dogs and stuff. So you trained protection dogs first before you got into training or messing with, we'll say the.
Yeah. Yeah. And just to clarify, I was never a pro trainer, not even a pro professional dog trainer. I just got into Schutzing and started doing some of that. And then a few years ago, I started trying to get into PSA, but I never got to take it all the way through. I just so busy working. I've been a landman for the last few years, so I was always traveling. But I would go to we call them like a bike club, a working dog club, where we would work them on the weekends, and you know, met some great trainers. But yeah, but I did. So I've did Schutzing for a few years, had some really good Schutzing dogs, and then uh, I got some title dogs out of Germany and out of Europe. But I've had Dobermans, Belgian Malinois. Uh, I had one Rottweiler, really good working Rottweiler out of Germany. And yeah, but I love it. I mean, if I had the time, I'd do it all, But
Oh yeah, I
uh,
mean it takes
just can't.
massive dedication, even for just one single dog
Yeah.
to just have a
Yes.
decent and a big thing. And on the podcast we had just before this with that guy, well, Trent, me and him talked about it all starts with obedience, and that's kind of like, like I've seen your videos and stuff. You'll post a lot of videos and stuff while you're on the road traveling, hunting and stuff. And we're gonna get into just where all you went this year, because I mean there's a little bit of Europe in there, which I think is so cool. But yeah, it's definitely one of the things that like I guess people overlook is that small obedient side of a dog. Like you have to make them once they're obedient, then they can do so many cool things.
And I think I'm better at obedience because it was in the protection dog world, but like what I find the most complicated, and that's why I seek professional help for dogs. I probably need professional help all the way around. But is advanced retriever training, man, to me is so technical and difficult, and I'm still learning. Like I'm trying to get my dog now to the senior test level and the season test level, and I'm getting there. But it's been my first time. But man, I mean, I thought I knew a lot about dogs and dog training, and I've been to No Popo school. If you ever check that out, it's pretty intense school. I've been to both their programs, gold and silver, and but man, you get these guys that train SRS dogs and field trial dogs, even dogs at the master level and grand level. Those guys and ladies are trainers, and I feel like an idiot with those people. I don't feel like I'm even. If you're looking at comparing it to school level, they're like PhD, and I'm like, junior in high school.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy the level that in depth training can get. I mean, there's a lot of guys who like self train and they have what I would consider like good gun dogs and stuff, and they're very good. You can go hunt with them all day long, and they're great dogs.
Yeah.
But they're well above the really bad ones. But then there's such a big gap to get up there to them like them field trial dogs. I mean, it is just.
And if you've heard any of my podcast, I've had some of the greats on my podcast, and what's so neat, believe it or not, man, those are my own selfish reasons. I got them on the podcast because I want to learn from them, and
Yes.
I feel like I want to ask questions that everybody else like me, every average Joe here wants to know. I'm not Rhodey Best or Clark Kington or Luke Coor or Adam Campbell or Jimmy Rogers. I'm nothing like those guys. Bob Owen, those guys are experts, and I love to learn from them. Chris Rudd,
Yeah.
another one.
I learned a long time ago that it's a lot easier just to ask them rather than just sit back and like be like, I wonder. I mean, I learned that, and that's the reason why we have this podcast is flat out so I can sit around and interview people I want to talk to. I really don't care if anybody wants to hear from them. I can learn so much waterfowl, dog, life, just in general, everything from someone just by talking to them because they're the outdoor world. You're a landman. Everyone's an average Joe person. You just got to go talk to them. It's kind of the weird.
Yeah.
Like we've got some mutual friends and the guy that owns Chris at Retriever Fuel and stuff. And I just missed you by one day at NWTF. I did the day.
Oh man.
You were over hanging out at the Recool and Rixie booth, and we drove down the next day. We were like actually stopping in Bowling Green. I seen you on social media. I was like, crap.
Oh
It was
shit,
you,
man.
and then that's
But
all.
you know what? It was so daggone crazy and crowded and big. We could have been there all 3 days together, never seen each other. You know?
Oh, dude, I've lost people in there, and then I just go back to like an area. I'm like, they're gonna have to filter through here because they're gonna get lost, and this is how they like end up. If you, it takes you a day to learn, and there's stuff you can't, you have to go all 3 days to see everything if you want to see everything, or you got to
Yes.
map out who you want to go talk to and go talk to those people, and that's kind of how I do it. I kind of figure out where the people are I want to hit, and then I'll take an extra route just to kind of see if I see anybody or anything extra. But yeah, it's definitely. I mean, that's just one show in general. There's all kinds of amazing shows, but yeah, there's so many people that are like mutual. I think I was talking to somebody about you, and they're like, "Yeah, just hit him up." I was like, "Okay," and they were like, "Yeah, just like they're messaging him. He's a normal guy." Like that's kind of how.
Very, very normal guy. Yeah.
I mean, I met Todd at Rixie, Todd Eza, through Instagram. I literally asked him a question, and I was like, "I'm gonna be in Arkansas. I need a little bit of input. Maybe you'll give me something." He goes, "Hell," he goes, "Let me know when you're here. We'll go hunt together." And then from that, it's been this expanding of like meeting different people, and it's like, what did
Yeah.
I do to deserve this other than send a message and ask a question? I mean, that's why
Hey, ain't it something? You know, you and I both, I'm sure, have met so many people. Probably even some people were kind of our heroes. You know, doing this podcasting and it's fun. But man, I've got invited to hunt to so many cool places. You know, and met. You know how it is, man. We've met some nice people.
yeah, I got to hunt Illinois with the Hunt Proof guys, all because like I literally become friends with them, and they were like, "Hey, they're like, come hunt early goose with us," and I'm going back this year. We do a podcast while I'm there. We film and stuff, and I'm like, this is like awesome. I was like, we're in the heart of like, yeah, it's not the goose epa that it was at one point in time, but we had 4 really fun days hunting. I mean, that's
Yeah,
all I can ask for. I mean, like
that's right.
it's more about the experiences and everything else you get than it is just in general. Like, you know, it doesn't matter about what all you kill. I have fun every year I go to Arkansas. I usually am mad, ready to never hunt again by the time I get back from Arkansas, and I'm just done with it. But yeah, I mean, it's just like it's the experiences and stuff you get, the people you get to meet and make friends with is the
Oh
key.
man, yeah. That's I, every day it's a privilege to do this, you know, and I still have a day job. I'm sure you do, and uh, I don't know that we'll ever reach the point that we get so successful at podcasts that we can quit work. That would be nice, but I don't think that'll happen for me. But it's a privilege, man. It really is. And, you know, now I've got a music podcast because that's my second. You know, that's another huge passion I was raised doing, and uh, I don't know which one I like the most. I mean, I love them both because it's just two things that I. And it's Jeff Stanfield's the very reason I started that music podcast.
That's hilarious because I wanted to ask because I know information if people don't know this about you that like I found out at NWTF is how I found out by your post at NWTF hanging out with the Creaker band who
Yeah,
is
yeah,
you're related to, which is in like they start listing who all they were on Jeff Stanfield's podcast, the Big Honker one, and they started listing off everyone, like all their family and stuff. And it makes sense that you have a music love because everyone, it's just that's what that family was. They were bluegrass, they were music to the soul, like that. It's just I love it that they're being successful. I think it's the greatest thing ever. I
me
love
too.
when you see them small bands just pop up and they take over. And COVID was a very bad thing, but it also kind of gave us TikTok, and I think it gave a lot of young musicians a chance to survive. Is what it did.
Yes,
It gave them a platform that they can come out of, and they 100% been successful. Because I don't at that point, I don't know how bands were. They were struggle. It was a struggle bus. You had to have a social media hit, and they were hard to get. And then TikTok
yeah,
basically handed it to you a way that these guys could, blow up. And I mean, it's awesome to see that they did. And I actually went the other day and downloaded a bunch of their music, so they got a bunch of downloads off me. So, but yeah, that's
good.
awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, no, man, it's so cool. All those guys, you know, which Anna's from just the other side of Indiana, just the other side of Kentucky, but all those guys are from Leslie County, where I'm from, except Scott, the banjo player, from Knott County, which is just the other side of Hazard. You know, it's 30 minutes from us, and uh, but you know, man, if you study, if you're a country music enthusiast, I tell people all the time, man, you take a point on a map in eastern Kentucky and draw a 75 to 80 mile radius, you can name. so many country music Hall of Fame, artists. It's insane, and it's not just a coincidence, man. We're all Scotch Irish immigrants. You're in West Virginia. I bet you have the same background, and we're all Scottish Irish immigrants, and music was our thing, and we brought those music traits over from Ireland, Scotland, England, and it's a way of life. I mean, I'm the only sibling in my family that has a job that's not music. My dad was a musician, my brothers, and I don't know, man. It's just cool. It's so cool, and I love to see those guys be successful, man. They quit their day. Two of them quit their day job at Walmart distribution center in London.
That
Tanner was shoeing horses, man. I mean, hey, you can't make that stuff up.
no, I mean, and that's what makes. I mean, you want to see those people be successful. Not to say you don't want someone.
Sure.
Like it. As a person who comes from Kentucky, West Virginia, some of the smaller states, you feel it a lot more happy for someone when they make it and they're not from when they had to go through those struggles and stuff and have a little bit of question mark of like is this even worth it? Like I think they talked about on their podcast, they went from making X and now they're making like they're 10 times X per show. I mean, they've managed their money smartly. They talked. I mean, that's a great podcast that when they were over there, just talking about the come up. And I mean, it's something that like a lot of those bands struggle with, and they've done a very good job with it. And now they're kind of exploded, and it's awesome to see. Yeah. I mean, it's just one of those cool things you see. You know what I mean? Like just with anything, like when you see like a young like outdoor show, like I like watching YouTube and stuff, like watching the hunting public come from basically those guys that were like day job workers that just let's pick up a camera. Like they just didn't stop when everyone else gave up on YouTube. Like 5 videos in, they were like, yeah, let's just keep doing it. And
That's what it takes.
continued to just be themselves. And I think that's something that like a lot of people can learn from. They want that instant gratitude of success when there was times when, they were like struggling and they put faith in each other, I think, and that's what you like to see.
It is. And, just one more comment on the Creekers. Those guys set out playing music for fun. They didn't play to become superstars. They had no earthly idea they would be rich and famous, and they will be. They're getting there now. But those guys just playing to have fun, man. That's why it's so cool,
Yeah.
And there's lots of people like that. It's not just them, but it's kind of neat.
Yeah, I mean, it hits home, like you said. It's a Kentucky. It's a. I feel like you throw a rock, you hit somebody with a guitar in Texas, but coming from out here, like like there's a lot more people that try and struggle. They just don't have the venue. There's not a bar around every corner they go play like there is in Texas and stuff. I mean, I forget the name of the boy. We were in Fort Worth getting hats made, and I sat down at the Best Hat store, and we're getting our American hats made and stuff. We were passing through, headed to Lubbock for my wife's graduation, and I was like, well, we're going to pass this, go to Fort Worth. I've never been there. I needed a new hat, and I was like, we'll just get I'll get a new American from down here, so I can at least get it shaped and everything. And I'm sitting there, and like this guy they keep bragging about this guy, and I'm like, I know this guy from somewhere. And honestly, it ended up being a boy I'd seen like a long time ago on some Facebook video that one of my friends had taken, and like in the middle of Wyoming, him sitting on the tailgate of a car with the trunk open, playing his guitar. And he was down there playing like shows now. And like he was from Louisiana, I think. And it was just awesome to see. I'm like, dude, like he's in there getting his photo taken. They were publicizing that he was there. And you would have never, if it wouldn't have been for like I think it was his fiance's dad that was kind of his manager, like kind of like pushing us and like know who he was. You would have just thought he was a regular Joe sitting there, which was the coolest thing ever. I'm like, he's not bragging about it. He's not throwing his weight around like, I'm this guy, I'm this. And like, it's just cool to see those type guys.
Did your wife go to Texas Tech?
She got her master's from Texas Tech. She did WU for 4 years, and then she went and got her master's in horticulture online at Texas Tech. So,
oh man, my wife's a Tech grad. I'm actually getting ready to drive through Lubbock here in about another hour.
So you're flat out in the middle of nowhere. I drove from West Virginia to Lubbock because I don't fly either. I haven't flown yet. My day job is going to make me have to fly now. Apparently, that is. Yep. So at 35 years old, I get to fly for the first time. This should be fun.
It sucks now because it's so crazy at the airport
Oh
near here.
yeah, I'm not looking forward to it. I was like, I was like, are you sure? I was like, because we have a plant down in Houston. I was like, I can drive to Houston. Just so you know, it's not that far away. They're like, it's far, and
Ooh, yeah.
I drove.
It's 8 hours from me.
Yeah, I know. That's what I started looking up one day. I was like, man, Texas is a bigger state than what I thought it was. Like,
Yeah.
it's it's quite large. But yeah, it's one of those things. We drove. We hit Nashville. I'd never like been across country, so we hit Nashville, Little Rock, Dallas, Fort Worth. We drove past Big Honker Lodge because that time I knew who their podcast was. So we like hit up through Knox, had had Mexican there in their town of right there at Knox, and it's actually pretty. That was really, I mean, it was really good Mexican. Everyone looked at us like we were crazy when you walk in there, and a bunch of locals are in there eating. They're like, "Who are these people?" And I'm like, "Oh well, we're not from around here." And then we drove from there over to Lubbock, and I will tell you that is the most boring drive I've ever had to do is across Texas. There's nothing
Yeah,
there. There's nothing to
man.
look at.
And it's West Texas. Like the rest of the other, East Texas is not that way. Like I'm in West Texas right now, and you can literally see for 30 miles. I don't know how far it is, but each way, and it's just there's some mesquites. The mesquite's starting to bloom now, so it's almost kind of getting green. But man, it was a big culture shock growing up in Leslie County and living in middle of Texas.
Yeah, that place is there's nothing but dirt, and everyone. I've told this story to a lot of people. When we left to come home from Lubbock, we left at like 4 o'clock in the morning, and we just gotten outside Lubbock, and I was probably a little sleepy still. I hit something. I still do not know what I hit. It was either an armadillo, raccoon. It felt pretty solid. Might have been a hog. I really don't know what I hit. Didn't do any damage to my truck, but I was awake the rest of the way, and we drove all the way to Lexington that night, and I crashed 3 hours from the house. I was like, I'm going to sleep. I told her I was
You
like,
drove from Lubbock to Lexington, Kentucky.
yeah. And one
You're a
day,
tough man. There's no way I could do that.
it was a long day. The wife would fall asleep, and then she'd wake up, and we'd be like 4 more hours on the road. She's like, I need to go pee. I was like, well, don't fall asleep because you fall asleep, I'm not stopping. I was like, we're getting across this country. Yeah,
Dang,
it was
what a
tough.
drive.
But let's get back into in the U because we could sit here and bullshit all day long, and you've got places to go. We'll have to have you on more now that I kind of have your contact all the time. I can just pick your
Anytime,
brain
man.
anytime you
Anytime.
want. So you grew up hunting that, and you started getting into training dogs and stuff. But what drove you? Like, what's your favorite? You waterfowl or upland? Which one's your
I'm getting more and more as a waterfowl fan, but upland is definitely my favorite um, because I really like to move. I'm kind of hyperactive. I think I deer hunted so many years in a tree stand and couldn't move, man. I'm like, yeah, I can get up and move now. But kind of what got me into labs and retrievers, and actually even got me into waterfowl, is um, I had a I had a pretty decent property in Kentucky, and I deer hunted so crazy that I got into shed hunting. And then I realized I started reading. This is like in 2013. Started seeing that there's these shed dogs. And I was like, shed dogs. And I started researching. It kind of evolved into I got a Labrador Retriever. I got a British Lab. I didn't know one from the other because I'd never been a lab guy. And you know how it is. If you're in the Appalachia area, there's no waterfowl, man. I mean, we don't.
no?
Uh, so anyway, I started doing that in shed hunting, and I actually was training shed dogs and having a blast. I'd get on these high fence ranches before I bought my own and say, hey, man, do y'all care if I come there and shed hunt, run my dogs, and whatever I find, I'll bring back to you, and because those antlers are valuable, right? Especially a fresh shed.
Yeah, like
Sometimes they let me pick out some I wanted, but I didn't care. I just wanted to work the dogs, uh, and then I realized, hey, man, I've got these high dollar or hybrid dogs that are bred to duck hunt. And I mean, I ended up, I had a wild rose dog, a southern oak kennel dog. I had some good stuff. And that was my first, expensive labs. I've had expensive imported Dobermans and German Shepherds, but not a lab. I thought you'd get them at the parking lot at Walmart for $100. I didn't know that they were
they can
expensive.
get expensive.
So then I learned about good labs, and being a dog guy, I always do my research too, and uh, man, those labs they were so good at that. And then I was around all these guys. Like I remember going to Barton Ramsey's for the first time, and it was when he had his old place in like 15 or 16. and to pick up a dog. And they were training like this British style training. It was a weekend, and he told me to come that time and watch what they were doing. And these guys were running these dogs, in ponds and hand signals. And oh man, this is cool. I want to do that.
Yeah.
And that's how I got into duck hunting.
Yeah. I mean, so yeah, duck hunting is, I don't know how I ended up with a dog. I got into duck hunting, and I guess I got mad enough that like I was hunting with buddies and we weren't good shots. We're in West Virginia, so the waterfowl hunting is not great to start with. And you lose a bird, it gets in the brush or something. I just got mad. I was like, I'm gonna buy a dog. I was like, and I got lucky, and a buddy told me about. He's like, I've got a male that like a guy uses that he breeds his female, and he's gunshot shy, but like that's the only reason why he doesn't hunt him, and he ruined him, and he duck hunts his, and the bloodline and everything was nice and everything. So I was like, sure, we were coming home from our wedding, our honeymoon, and I asked my wife, and we made the deal. We got a hold of the guy, and he was gonna just pick a pup for us, and I took him like I think it was $600 I paid for her. And we had like $300 left over from our honeymoon that we didn't spend, and then I got $300 more. And she has been one of the most jam up dogs that like I've ever had. And I've got 2 pups out of her now. One that like I think I'm going to start working towards pheasant hunting, working her myself. We got a game reserve not far. I'm going to start working on that. And then the younger one, I've struggled training her because we got kids and stuff. So that's where I'm bringing in advice from other trainers and stuff, and trying to figure out, what do I need to do? Like, what she's doing this, like, what can I fix? And I've met this guy who's going to take her and like mess with her for a few days and just see, like, evaluate her and stuff. I had my wife bring her over to a game farm, and we were there filming and hunting, and the guy was there, and I was like, here, I'll just show her to you. And he's like, well, will she pick up a pheasant? And I was like, oh, I don't know. I don't know if she will or not. Like, I've never done this. I was like, this is going to be bad. Threw a pheasant out there, dead, center. She runs over, picks it up, comes back. Heels up, sets down. I was like, you stupid dog. And she does that, but it's just like she lacks a little a gamey bird, I guess. Like she lacks a little of that bird sense, and that's what my problem is with her. And my buddy's got her brother, and we've seen him click this year in Arkansas. They said they were hunting out of a pit blind, and they started watching, watch birds, start picking birds up and watching. And I was like, when they start that, I was like, you're set. I was like, now they've figured out what they're looking for. They're going to mark 100 times better. And everything. I mean, we've kind of self-trained all of them up to this point. She's going to be the first one I ever send off to be trained. And I've already decided my next one will come from like Barton Ramsey or someone like that. I'll just go probably rebuy another high-end bloodline if I can. But yeah, it's definitely that training, all that in-depth training is crazy to watch. It's one of the greatest things ever.
It is. It's you got to respect those guys. I was actually talking to a trainer, not Tyler Brenner up in Illinois, who works with Chris Rudd and Dan Erkey and those guys. And it's the very conversation we had Sunday, man. It's like how long it takes to get a dog to that level, how many hours and repetitions, how many days a week they put in. And he's like, man, you can't you're not going to have a dog that can go to the grand if you're training once or twice a week, which is, where I'm at because of my schedule. So yeah, it's just, it amazes me, and it's amazing how many great trainers that there are out there. I tell you, a trainer that I've been studying, and I've had him on my podcast in England, is Ben Randall. To see what that man can do with a dog with no e-collar, no anything, is unbelievable. I've about drank the Kool-Aid, man. I started watching him. I got his book. I got his app that he had out, and anyway. Check him out.
Yeah, definitely. He's definitely. I've heard him on your podcast actually. Yeah, like I don't use an e-collar that. I guess I don't use an e-collar that well in force fetch, so that's probably what my current problem is with my pup. I don't force fetch that hard. I've never kind of had to. I just got lucky and didn't have to. So that's the thing. Like, so me and hers had like 1 or 2 little upsies and attitude problems, but I mean. I think I hunted her 6 hunts this year. She had 5 to 8 retrieves. So she has retrieves under her belt. She's not even 2 years old yet. So like, and that's something else I've learned. Like just because a pup's won and they're not doing what you need them to do, that's no problem. That is not an issue. Like I used to think that was like, oh, we're done, get rid of her. There's nothing I can do, and that's kind of how I gave up on my yellow one. That I'm kind of going to push towards pheasants a little bit. Was I did that? I literally gave up on her, and then like my nephew will send me videos of him working her in the yard up there on a bumper because I left a bumper up there with her. She sits at my mom and dad's house now because we picked up the other pup, and I thought my wife would kill me if I put 3 labs in our house at the same time. So with 2 kids, but like it's definitely crazy to watch how they work with each other.
Yes.
So you're right. Like you talked a little bit, like, you know, reaching out and getting that information and stuff. What current dogs are you kind of own yourself right now?
So I've got, I've got a dog at a trainer with Luke Cooper, and I've got one with Rhodey that I started, let him finish. I'm gonna go pick him back up. But the one dog I'm working that I've trained 100% myself is Fern, the red lab that I have. I imported her. Her father was in the IGL that I saw. This is the international one in England. It was actually in Scotland this year, owned by Laura Hill, and she's another great trainer. Has a book out and stuff. But I've trained Fern 100%, start to finish, and I trained Dallas, my pup, up to a certain level. In about 7 months, I sought professional help for her because she's so good, and her pedigree is as good as it gets.
Yeah.
That I felt like I was cheating her. That she is way better dog than I am a trainer, if that makes sense.
It does,
So,
and that's how I feel about that first female I had. Like I told buddies, I was like, she's 8 now. I was like, her like she's starting to hit the backside of the prime. I was like, this was a dog that someone could have took and passed some tests with her. Like I had buddies who like had started out hunting with her, and like they were like, "Are you gonna take her and test her yourself?" They're like, "She knows hand signals." I taught her hand signals in the backyard. I've seen her do like 250-yard retrieves on geese. I've seen her do like amazing stuff, and like I'm like, oh, like I guess we should have, but we didn't. And now we're to the point where it's like, well, it's kind of on the back end a little late for this, but you know, she's been an outstanding dog, and you know, like as far as I'm concerned, like she won't lay around here. She gets mad if she doesn't get to go hunting, but she could lay around here and not go hunting again, and I'd be perfectly fine with it.
yeah, yeah. No, it's at least I just, and I could have probably finished out Dallas to a certain level, but I'm going through this transition on buying these radio stations there, uh, and I still am a landman and doing all that. I just I still have the ranch, and I just don't, I don't have so many hours in a day.
Yeah, you realize that you could get her way up there, but
Yeah,
where you get her to, someone else could take her so much farther. Yeah, it's one of those things where you're like I could do this, but when I get her, I might take me longer to get that level, or she's not going to be as good, or I'll teach her a bad habit along the way. I mean, that's the thing. Like, and that's what I'm like with the pup I have that I'm sending to a trainer. Like, I'm like, I hope I don't have a bad habit in this dog. He's got to fix, because then
yes.
you know that makes that so much harder. But I don't think she has one. I guess he'll let me know. But yeah, it's definitely like that. That's what's awesome about like hearing someone like you who's a big gun dog guy. That's your thing. Like, you love trainers, and like you mentioned, you have dogs at 2 or 3 different trainers. That's what's awesome. I think is like you have so many, you know, trainers specialize in different ways they train, specialize in different things, getting dogs at different levels. There's like I've told my buddies like, hey, I can get your dogs to like a meat dog level, but outside of that, like, I can't help you no more. Like I can get you started on hand signals, but when you hit an issue, you've got to seek the professionals, because at that point I'm done. I'm out. That's what's cool. That's what's cool is the fact that you talk about that. You have those guys on your podcast, and you guys sit down and discuss that. So you brought up Scotland there. I want to jump to that because you went to Scotland this year, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes.
What was that like? Like I remember seeing all your social media from over there. Like tell us about what you were there for and what that was like, the experience.
First, that was my second year. Last year it was in England, and this year's in Scotland. This year will be back in England. But that was my second year to go to United Kingdom and watch their international championship. And I'd heard Barton on a podcast talking about it, him going, and I just thought, man, I've got to go see that, and make a vacation out of it. Um, Even though that's really about all I did was dog stuff, except for a day or two. But man, it's so neat because first of all, you got tradition. There was British royalty there. There was a Duchess that was there. If you look back at videos, there's some YouTube stuff I think of Queen Elizabeth in her day, the late Queen Elizabeth, that would attend those or have some type of trial that she would have, at her grounds. And she was into it. She was into field trial stuff and has her own kennel there. And I think there's still a royal kennel over there, that they have their own dogs. Um, but the history, that's where the labs, that's where we got them from, right? And how they do it, they still dress up in plaid, and they actually their field trials are true hunt. I mean, they might, they got all kinds of birds and they plant birds too, but actually these were not. I don't think they're planted. I think these are birds that exist there. The numbers over there are crazy. Like, we go pheasant hunting, we can kill 3 a day. They their hunting stuff is so different, but at a shoot where they're paying to go hunt these places, they might shoot 100 pheasants in a day.
Oh gosh.
And then in Scotland, it was like, you and I are from, we know what a holler is. It was like not truly a holler, but it was a valley more because it was wider. Like a holler to me is narrow.
Yeah.
And a valley is like you go down the Smokies there around Powell Valley, Tennessee, Morristown area. It widens out. So they would come off. They would be up on these hills, flushing these pheasants, and they use beaters and they use spaniels and springers to flush, and they'll flush them birds out. And those guys, they have shooters shooting them. Then they'll set and send those labs one at a time. You'll have 10 of them standing there stayed. They can't make a noise. No leash. They're real big on manners and obedience when they score. Like if a dog whines and goes on at the line, you're out. The dog uses the bathroom on the field grounds during a field trial, it's out. But it's neat to watch. It's different. I've never seen them do any kind of water testing. It's all been upland hunting, their field trials. Now, I don't know enough. I'm not an expert on their field trials, even though I've been over there twice. I don't know if they have a water component in some of their hunt tests or some of their younger level trials, but all I've ever seen is upland.
Okay, yeah.
And they're shooting pheasant and partridge, I think is what I've seen.
Okay.
A French partridge. Yeah.
Okay, that first off, that's like I understand like when you say like tradition and like the strictness of that. I see that because when you think about Europe, think about anything they do, it's very honorable, it's very strict, it's very manners like I would say if you went to the lower hunt test, they hold a pretty high standard all the way down through them. Where I'm not saying we don't do that in the U.S. I'm just saying there's probably a little more looseness in like our grounds. We probably host a hunt test somewhere, or probably multiple hunt tests in a place that they would deem that's an unfit ground to host a hunt test in, because I could see them wanting like prestige looking land and just want it to look that.
Well, one thing it's kind of deceiving. So over there, both hunt tests I went to, they had this bramble, and there's some other words for it, but it's basically this thick, brushy stuff you can't hardly walk through. And those dogs are hunting in that, man. I mean, it's rough. So it's not like this pretty mowed grass that they're hunting in. It's
Okay.
a bird will fall down into that stuff, and heck, you can't even see it. So they got to have a really good nose, which is something I notice uh, that are stronger. It seems to be pretty strong in those dogs. I know because I own British dogs and American dogs, and I love them both. But I've got one of my British dogs, Maverick, the one that's probably in a lot of my videos. That dog has a nose like anything. I mean, he'll find stuff that you have to see it to believe it. I could tell you stories you wouldn't believe if you didn't see it. I mean, it's crazy. He found a duck in Montana that fell down in these rocks, and no one could find it. Nobody.
Yeah.
And the guy that I wasn't the one that shot, it was another guy, and he finally found it, and it was a banded duck. So I was like, so he loves my dog, man. Because my dog found a banded duck. But,
dude, that is true. I could see that because the black one here, she's like 50-50. Her mom's British, her dad's American, and my two British ones, I can see like on the pheasant hunt the other day, I could watch my yellow. She's British, and like she kept her nose, like she didn't know what we was there for. She's running around, but eventually she kind of figured out. I could see her put her nose down and really start using her nose to hunt. And I was like, if we kind of went on the back end, that reserve was kind of like done for the year, and we were like, hey, can we just come clean up some stuff, like kind of see what we can jump with these dogs? I just want to see what they do. They're like, yeah, anything you shoot, just pay us for the bird, don't pay to be here and stuff. And we kind of got off to the side. There was two different dogs. There was the one of the long-haired pointers, and then a lab. They were also working. The two of the groups they were messing around with. But yeah, it's interesting to watch, and like it's interesting to watch different dogs hunt too in the upland. Like waterfowl, everyone hunts the same. They sit, they watch, they mark, they retrieve. But in upland, you have pointers, flushers, and then you have like labs who kind of like, depending on how, like my goal was to control them within like a range that they hunted around me, kind of like a beagle. And I don't know if that's the right way to do it. I just went in with that mindset that I wanted them to hunt like a beagle close to me and flush what was close. Not yet way out in front of me and stuff, and then flushing stuff you can't shoot at, they're too far away.
That's how I use them. I like if I'm hunting corn, rows of corn for pheasant, I use my labs. If I'm hunting just natural grasses and in fields, not agriculture, I use my pointing dogs, because my like a pointing dog, they want to hold a bird, right, and stay pointed. Well, in that corn, those pheasants are just going to run. They're running all through those rows, crisscrossing and going, and I feel like it would destroy a pointing dog. But my labs are perfect for that because they can run and flush, and then they'll go retrieve. And that's what I use in that scenario.
Yeah, okay, I can see that. Yeah, and I did not realize how much ground and how quick a pointing type dog is trained to cover ground. And like you said in the beginning, you like upland because you can get her out and walk and you're moving. Like, because me and my dad discussed that on the one time we went pheasant hunting. We went over there and we had a guide, and we were like, man, we covered a lot of ground fast. Like, it felt like the dogs hunted fast and out in front. And he was like, and I asked him about it. He's like, yeah, that's kind of how they're trained to hunt, kind of out in front of you fast, hold. He goes, I keep them reeled in a lot tighter there than I do when he goes to like North Dakota, South Dakota. He goes, I'll let them get out to, 500 yards away from me because they're going to point and hold, and they're going to hunt to find that bird and then find that bird out there. And they're like, a shot's not going to phase them if something flushes short of them when we're walking to them and stuff. That to me was crazy how they function like that.
The pointers, like I've got a pointer and a Brittany, and they'll hunt. They'll hunt 300 yards if you let them. I don't. I try to keep within around 200 yards if I can, and mainly because I'm getting ready to get a brand new knee. I'm going to have a knee replacement in July, but my knee's jacked, so that means I got to walk to them if they point out there, and then you risk. Some birds will flush. They'll flush early, even though it's not the dog's fault. Just some birds are more skittish. Some areas have birds that are more skittish than other areas, I think. But I try to keep them within a couple hundred yards, maybe 250.
Yeah,
that's just me.
I could see that. Yeah, and that's kind of like he kept them at the preserve at like 50, 60. But yeah, I could see easily they let them range, because the day we was over, I was watching dogs, and those dogs were ranging up to like 150. But there was only two guides up there. They were way apart from each other, and I'm like, those dogs are ranging super far. But then again, one's a pointer, so once it finds it, it points and holds. And it's definitely a very interesting thing. And technology too, like we got talking about technology with the Garmin's now. You can like tell when a dog's on point and everything. You can look at your watch and just know what your dog's doing.
I love it. This is the first year I hunted using the tracking collars with the pointing, mode on it and stuff. That's so cool. And actually took me a little while to get used to all that. Where I was trying to use my technology and watch my dogs, and I had never really done all that much. I did some of beagles, but we were just trash breaking. As long as they didn't run a deer, I didn't care what they did. That's
kind of me. As long as the labs, they can go in the backyard, they can stare at the deer, but I don't want you chasing them. Like, you can chase the birds out of the yard, but you ain't chasing a deer. Like, just that's how my dad had a dog who it was one of his bear dogs. I think it was his. It might have been a buddy's. I don't know, but it could strike a deer in a field at like 35 miles an hour going down the road inside the dog box. where they were used to like. I
What a
mean,
nose.
oh yeah, he hated that dog though. That thing, you talk about you bear hunting and strike a deer, and like everyone's like, I don't know if we're gonna trust this thing going up and down in the hills of West Virginia. Like, what do we got going here? But yeah, I mean, it was. I'm thinking it was him. I don't know. It might have been my cousin's dog. I don't know. He's like, we'll break him. He goes, we'll put him on the rig and take him around the road. And that's back when you used to be able to drive 2 miles from my mom and dad's house and see 100 and some deer in the fields along the road. And I mean, didn't take long to fix that problem with an e-collar, but it's
Yeah.
definitely impressive. The note, like hounds, just the nose they have, the smell bears, cold run, and all
Yeah.
that. It's something that like my dad pointed out to me the other day. I didn't think about, and you know this. Dog gets hot, starts breathing heavy, can't smell as good, and that was
Yeah.
something like I didn't even think about. Like he was like, yeah, you guys, when you're doing this, you got to think about all that. That's all this stuff is such a different aspect I've learned, like coming like to this. And I'm trying to listen to as many podcasts like yours and stuff to learn as much as I can from all these trainers and stuff you pull on and everything.
Yeah, if it's real dry and it hasn't rained, there's no moisture. It's hard. The scent is harder to detect. If there's some wetness on the ground, water, it helps the scent, and just little things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely like it's taught me there's such a difference when it comes to like upland and then waterfowl. Like
Yeah.
like you can get a dog to do both, but it's going to take some like understanding upland is what's going to be interesting for me. But let's go into like real quick. Where all did you get a hunt this year and stuff? And where all you
Man,
traveled? It seemed like you traveled all year long, kind of like doing your vacations. Your wife's probably like my wife. She probably enjoys when I go on vacations without her for like a week straight somewhere hunting.
she went with me, believe it or not, a whole lot. She was with me quite a bit. I've had the ability to be able to work from home a lot with some of my projects, but don't get me wrong. I mean, don't think that that's my lifestyle. I'd have never got to hunt that long in my life. That was a first time thing. Might not ever get to do it again. Now I've got these things going on, but uh, man, I started out in Montana, 1st of September, hunted sharp-tailed grouse and Hungarian partridge. It's the first time I'd ever shot those, hunted those, and again, you're out in this open country. I've got a Brittany. Then a few weeks later, I picked up my pointer from some guys in North Dakota and hunted there. Then went over to Mobridge, South Dakota, and we hunted a reservation because it opened up. It's a reservation, it's their own law. So the season opened up way before the season in South Dakota for grouse. So we hunted that reservation near Mobridge. Great hunting, man. It was sharp-tailed grouse and Hungarian partridge. Um, I left there, hunted North Dakota with a bunch of Nastra guys, Chad Norpel and a bunch of those guys, and that's where I got my pointer from them. This pointer was a Scott Townsend dog, who's one of the top trainer competitors, field trial champion many times. Uh, hunt those guys, great group, man. Nastra sponsors me, but these guys, it's ladies. Like there's more women field trial champions trainers in there and handlers than any organization I've ever seen. So those guys, man, were so nice to me up there. It's been just a great group. It was their club, and we went and hunted public land. We jumped a bunch of pheasant, but it wasn't pheasant season. I left there and went just across the line from Williston, North Dakota, over into Montana, and I hunted up in northeast Montana. I'm not allowed to say where I was at because my duck hunting friends made me take an oath, and they'd kill me. They'd probably shoot me. But
I've
I
got a few of
duck hunted up
those.
there. I was like, man, y'all duck hunting Montana. These guys are from the coast of Texas. They're from Rockport, and great hunting up there. We duck hunted until, and we could. I was up there for the first day of duck hunting season in Montana. But we were still grouse hunting in the evenings and stuff, and partridge. Um, Hunted there for almost 2 weeks. That's when I got broke in on duck hunting. Them guys are fanatics, hardcore, like to kill me. I mean, I'm telling you, man, it was tough. So we waited till opening day of pheasant season up there. We hunted opening day in Montana, and we were out, uh, had a good day up there, saw a lot of birds, and then I left there, and I went down to South Dakota. I hunt every year in South Dakota and Huron with Scott Neighbor, who has an outfitter there. It's wild birds. Everybody thinks because it's called Scott Neighbor's Pheasant Ranch that it's a hunting preserve, and it's not. It's wild birds.
Yeah.
And I've hunted there 4 or 5 years straight. Uh, and it's a group from Texas. I got invited to go with this bunch through a friend of a friend kind of thing. And I've been going with those guys every year. And then I left there and went to Canada
Oh,
and
okay.
hunted with a dog training friend of mine. And anyway, my truck's going. I guess I've been sitting too long. Went up there and hunted with Steve Strongman. They've got oh gosh, I'm so mad. I'm forgetting their outfitter. Oh my goodness. It's waterfowl. Oh, it'll hit me in a minute. Man, we hunted. I've never seen snow geese like that in my life. And Canadians, we shot ducks, but the snow geese were insane. I'd never done that before. They're in the Saskatchewan, so it's like waterfowl
Oh,
mega.
yeah, it's the Mecca waterfowl.
I've never seen anything like it, man. And but it's still like some days it wasn't easy, but there was only well, I think we limited out every day, and the limit there is heavy. I mean,
Oh
you
yeah,
know,
it's a lot.
it's crazy. But I left there. Maybe no, I left there. No, yeah, I left there. Where did I go next? I came back south, stayed in Montana a few days just to take a break. My wife met me there because she didn't go with me to Canada. And then I got invited to hunt at the Heartland Lodge. I did a podcast there, and they said I could come and stay and hunt a couple days, and in Illinois,
Okay,
Pike
okay,
County, Illinois.
okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Man, I'm telling you, it's a super nice lodge. I eat like a king. Uh, I I was just going there to upland hunt, and then they invited me to duck hunt on Saturday, so I hunted the Mississippi River. So my dog got to be, my dog got to retrieve in every place in the U.S. this year. That was so fun. I mean, Maverick got to retrieve the Mississippi River, the Gulf of Mexico, or the Gulf of America now.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Montana. I didn't take him to Canada. Long story, but looking back, I would have. I thought there was going to be too many issues crossing back and forth with the dogs. It's really not that bad.
Yeah.
Uh, but anyway, I just didn't do it. Wished I had because he could retrieve dozens and dozens of birds a day. And um, I came back, took a couple days break, went to Scotland and Ireland to the dog trial, came back. Let's see, how did I do it? I went to Arkansas for the first time and hunted flooded timber. Had a blast. Then I hunted Louisiana with a group I go every year with. And then I hunted on the coast again. I went there twice this year with my buddies that hunt Montana.
Okay.
And I think that was my last duck hunt. Yeah, I hunted Louisiana the last week of duck season, and then finished out uh, in the Gulf Coast. And then it's kind of weird, man. I was like, oh yeah, I left out. I knew I was leaving something out. The biggest one of all, that Alaska trip.
Oh yeah, yeah. You did go to Alaska. I remember that now.
Well,
Yes.
man, first of all, the only reason I could afford the Alaska trip is because I won the hunt at a Delta waterfowl auction for $1,500. It's a $7,000 hunt.
I would get
And
on a plane for that. I mean, I wouldn't get on a plane for much, but I'd get on a plane for
yeah,
that ride.
I tell you what, it was beautiful. I was really kind of concerned about it. Like, man, I don't know. I don't. Older I get, I'm 57, man. I don't really like cold anymore. I mean, I just don't. Even though I grew up in Kentucky, and we had winter time and stuff,
Yeah.
but uh, it was. I can't describe it enough, man. It was so beautiful. We were on St. Paul Island. You take this little tiny plane out of Anchorage and fly 2.5, 3 hours across the Bering Sea, and you're there on the island. And I mean, there's nothing there. There's one store that's open part time, one beer store that only sells beer and wine, open part time, no restaurants. So you eat what the outfitters feed you. And luckily, when you buy a hunt at an auction, you don't really know what you're getting. It could be a bad experience.
Yeah. It could be a very
Luckily, it was
bad
with
one.
4 flyways, and those guys are truly experts. I was really impressed. I'm actually going to have the younger guy on my podcast to talk to him last night because these guys, he's from like Connecticut, and that's all they do. They guide in Alaska all season almost in September, fishing, waterfowl, ptarmigan, which is an upland bird in the
It's
cold.
it's the one with the hairy feet, correct? They're all
I
white, I
think
think.
I think so. I've only seen pictures.
I think it's the
I'm gonna
one.
hunt one this year.
Okay, it's the ones that the Heartland Waterfowl guys, Ronnie Phillips and all them. Every time they've went to like Alaska, I think they've been to Alaska twice on their show, and I've talked to them about it. Like every time they go, that's what they shoot. They'll be like, you'll be driving down the road and you'll see a bunch of them get up, and they're like, they're like, yeah, they'll just let you pull over and go hunt them. Like no one else is hunting them. They're like, no one like goes up there to hunt them. It's a pretty.
I
Cool.
want to do it because it's different. And I had a guy on the podcast, Brett Browning, out of Arizona, that does extreme upland, like Idaho Hills Canyon, crazy stuff, and Antarctica or no Arctic Circle. I mean,
Yeah,
not Antarctica, but anyway, that duck hunt, man, I could talk about that for a whole day. But it's in Alaska was something. It's just, you're on a boat that's kind of a raft with a steel center, like a steel hull, but the edges are a raft. And if the water whips up, you can't stay out there. But we had one day, it was as smooth as a lake would be in Kentucky, man. I mean, and it was beautiful. But then we had a day that we had to come off the water. But you're not out real far because those boats are not made for that.
yeah,
So you can the whole time you're out, you can see land.
yeah.
It ain't like you're miles out,
Yeah.
So, but man, that's just, I don't know. It's definitely a chance for a lifetime. Now, a lot of people ask me, would you go? I was like, man, if you have the opportunity to do that. Now, it's expensive because the airfare from Anchorage to the island costs more than my airfare from Texas to Anchorage.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
yeah,
And
just
you know what's crazy? My wife ended up getting me like life flight insurance if something happened to me. And 3 weeks later, I had a heart attack.
Oh, gosh, that
Yeah.
would cool.
So what if that happened to me over there, man? I might have been dead. It's
Yeah, that's
I don't even
not
like to think about it.
Yeah, that's not a good place to. I mean, I'm not judging the current doctors in Alaska, but I think I would be wanting to get back to. I probably would never say I'd want to be in California that fast, but I'd be wanting to get back to at least California or Oregon or Washington somewhere.
What's the thing is, you're out there on that island. It take 2 to 3 hours for a plane, once you secured one, to get out there and get you. There's no plane on the island.
Yeah, so
and get you back. Like when you're out there until plane. And here's the thing, Alaska, like I don't know what it is. I don't understand the climate wise, but St. Paul Island's like 30 degrees warmer than Anchorage. It was never really, really nasty cold there. It stayed in the 30s to high 30s. Anchorage is 13 below. So we were waiting to fly out to go hunt weather. We couldn't. So you might sit out there. I've heard people going out there hunting has been stuck there for 2 weeks, a week, because you can't get a plane out there.
Yeah.
Or So yeah, man, I sit there and thought about that. What if that had happened to me? What the heck would have happened? And I had a 95% blockage, so that's pretty scary.
Yeah, that's a very scary. Yeah, I mean, my grandpa had some severe blockages, and luckily we were here. And they kind of found them and was able to do open heart surgery and fix all that. But like, yeah, it's definitely a very scary. Like, I mean, you can function a little. Like you can lose some stuff, but that's one thing you really can't lose.
Yeah. It's like you can take out your spleen or something. I don't know, but yeah. But good news is on that note is I just went to the cardiologist Monday, and man, I have no other problems. It was kind of a freak thing, maybe stress related.
Yep.
It was not in the Widowmaker. It was in a branch artery off, or a branch off the Widowmaker. So this side. And once they put that stent, it looks like I'm healthy as a horse, So
that's good, man.
Yeah, man. But it's man. That's I'm the last person in the world you'd think to have a heart attack.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably walking more than anyone. Probably, I mean, you're doing a lot more exercising than a lot of people are. That it's crazy to think that, like, when you see someone like have like a pacemaker issue or something, you're like, man, a guy who like works out 24/7. Goes to the people. It's weird. It hits people that go to the gym and stuff every time, and then you have someone who eats McDonald's 5 days a week, sits around for their job at a computer desk, and they're healthy as
Like,
they don't have an ever issue.
and I never even thought about the time, but I never eat fast food. I mean, I eat really good. Like, it ain't like I'm a health nut, but I cook a lot, and my wife, we cook a lot, and I cook a lot, and I eat decent food. I mean, I'm sure I could improve.
Yeah, but it's crazy just by eating at home, or fixing your meal or going to like somewhere other than a fast food restaurant, how much healthier you can be.
Yeah.
But we've had you on here for like an hour. I don't want to take you up because I can get you back on there anytime. But real quick before you get off here, I need you to you just bought the radio stations. I'd seen you had bought them. It's not all the way through. Can you give a quick info about those and let everybody know where to find you? You're kind of everywhere at Gundog Nation podcast, which is awesome.
Yes. Thank you for that. Yes. So I've applied with the FCC to purchase 4 stations, like 6 channels in Stephenville, Comanche, Texas. It's KSTV 93, which has been a station there since 1943 in Stephenville, Texas. And Stephenville is the home of Tarleton State University. It's a cowboy capital of the world. And the other station, the 33,000 watt country station, is in Comanche, Texas. And I always think it's cool is I got a radio station, the cowboy capital of the world, and I got one 30 miles down the road named after an Indian tribe. So
yeah,
cowboys and Indians. But anyway, and then I have a Mexican regional station, which is, believe it or not, it's a really good venture. And then I've got some AMs too. I'm in the process of acquiring a couple more, maybe one big group, also in Texas. And the other cool thing is my podcast I just did a deal today. My podcast is going to be on a radio station in Brownwood, Texas, KYXL. It's 2 stations actually, but AM and FM. It's going to start coming on there on Sundays. There's a really famous station in Fredericksburg, Texas. It's Texas Rebel Radio. So it was on, if you watch Hope Floats, Harry Connick Jr. is wearing a T-shirt, Texas Rebel Radio. That's a station in Fredericksburg, and that kind of put it on the map. But it's also a station that's been there since the 40s, and they're playing I think on 2 of their 4 stations they're playing my podcast on Saturday mornings, and then my stations, we'll have the podcast on there. Then I've got a guy that's helped me get my podcast out to a big bunch more Texas stations.
Awesome.
And then I'm on Country Music Highway 23 TV, and they have a internet radio in Kentucky that they're running it too now.
All right, that's freaking awesome, man. Yeah, when you're laid up because of the knee in July, when you have knee surgery, I'll get you on here and we'll talk radio stations because I could go down a rabbit hole asking a ton of questions because I know nothing about them. We know you got a big music background. We can BS some more dog talk, see how all the training's going and stuff. See if you've bought any more dogs. You might buy one between here and there. Who knows?
Yeah. And I'll tell you too, like, man, I'll have some more radio stations. It's going to be even more exciting to talk about by then.
That'll be awesome. Yeah, I'd love to hear because I've got a ton of questions. I could get down a rabbit hole right now for another 2 hours, but you've got a dog you need to deliver. Thank you again, everyone. It's Gundog Nation podcast. It's on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Am I missing anywhere?
Nope.
YouTube. Yeah, you're there. I don't have a Twitter, so I don't know if you're on Twitter or not. I mean, it's kind of a weird place that I don't know if anyone's on Twitter anymore. Kind of seems like maybe just people wanting to complain on there, so that's all it's there. And get mad because Trump tweets something that doesn't affect their life at all. But yeah, that's a rabbit hole I can get into that is just hilarious. But yeah, man, you have a good rest of your trip, and thank you so much for being on here, man. I'll catch you down the road. I'll stay in touch for sure. Definitely about the radio stations and stuff. We'll get in when you get that knee surgery going and everything, man. I can't thank you enough, man.
Thank you so much, man. It's an honor and a privilege.
Thank you, man. I'll catch you down the road.
All right. Thank you.
Life Between the Volleys is brought to you by Hunt Proof, Gadwall Whiskey, Rixie Outdoors, Pattern Pros, Free Cool Dog Vest, Dirty Duck Coffee, Bluebird Waterfowl, and Winter Productions. Proud to run with the brands that keep us cool, from the blonde to the edit and every mile in between.